Good morning, Keller Williams. February 12th today, and if you've never been to one of these meetings before, I have a special announcement for you. If you've been here before, this announcement will sound familiar. We have a jam-packed meeting today, and we need to get going. So, with no further ado, our Chief Value Officer, Jamie, taking over the show.
Well, thanks, Jason.
You bet, sir.
Thanks for my mom for cheering. I heard one. Yeah, all calm down and stop liking each other so much. Come on. That is just too much.
What a high-class problem.
It's a great problem we have. So, welcome everybody. Thank you so much. Those of you on Zoom, hello, welcome. And those of you watching on YouTube here in the future, welcome. I'm Jamie Ogden, CVO, Chief Value Officer, and I'm here representing the leadership team. And this is our favorite day because we get to pour into everybody in person, all the people that we talk about all day, every day. So it feels awesome. And as you know, we are going to be moving into, this is a big day. It's a big day whenever we have Colin here to do the economic breakdown, the state of the economic union, so to speak. But he's from Canada. So it's a different state of the union. Some would say it's the 51st state of the union, yeah. But I don't want to go there. Sorry, Colin. There's mixed feelings about that, so sorry. What is our purpose as a leadership team? We meet, I hope you all have your own mission statements. Ours is pretty simple. Serve agents and impact lives. So we are here to serve you. It was a unique thought back when I was an agent at other companies. Great companies, but all of a sudden now I've got a bunch of people and I'm a part of looking to the agents to find out how many more ways we can help you, as opposed to I'm producing a lot more now and now I'm in your super circle, right? So, serve agents, impact lives. We hope to impact the world with you, through you, multiply your efforts, get more great people in more seats in people's living rooms. This is the belief system of Keller Williams Realty International, and it's the Y4C2Ts. This was created by the first ALC, Agent Leadership Council, and then added on to since. The belief system: win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together, everyone achieves more, and that's very evident in this culture, thank you. Trust starts with honesty, hopefully that is too. Equity, opportunities for all and success, results through people, and given that, this is our play of the week. Let's give it up to Kate. Those of you who are maybe new, what this is we do this weekly, that makes good sense. And it's integrity. But we like to highlight someone each week that gets nominated for, doesn't have to be real estate related, it can be a plethora of things, because A, it's important to know the quality of the people that are around you, that are on your team, so to speak, and as well as it's an opportunity for us to promote to your sphere how great you are. And Kate was nominated for something that we don't always, it might not be a weekly thing, but it's something that we all recognize, that is parenting. An agent was just so amazed at the depth of which she cares for her family while building her career, and how, another thing is how much she wants the best for everybody. So when you're around her, she wants the best for everybody and doesn't like to rest until that happens. So that's why she's such a great fit here, and that's why she's play of the week. If you know somebody, please nominate them. Again, philanthropy, anything it could be, as long as it's legal. And let's welcome up Melissa, our broker.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Happy Valentine's Day week, everyone. I absolutely love working with you. I love how professional you are. I love how hardworking you are. I love how fun you guys are to be with. And I want to bring to your attention something that I posted on Facebook, but I wanted to take a minute or two to talk about it today in front of you. You know, there's a lot of designations that you can get through the National Association of Realtors, but there aren't a lot of designations that actually give you continuing education credits. We all just went through, many of us rushed at the end of 2024 to get our code of ethics requirement in, and this qualifies for your code of ethics requirement. You're going to have to do it again. It's every 3-year cycle. We're also going to have to do a fair housing requirement here coming up as well. And so I want to encourage you to get a jump start on this. There's less than 1% of realtors in the state of Minnesota who have this C2EX designation. It's called the Realtors Commitment to Excellence. And I want to be the #1 brokerage in the state of Minnesota with agents who've taken the time to get the certification. And I'm telling you, it's worth doing because you get that CE credit. You are excellent, you are professional. It is something that you need to log into at the National Association of Realtors. I posted it on Facebook, so you can search back on that. Once you log in, it's kind of a self-guided course. So it's not a boring thing where you just click and click and click. It's self-guided, you go here, there, and everywhere. You're actually assigned a coach. I haven't done it yet, but Will and I will be required to do it through the special program that he is doing with me. And so I would encourage all of you to do it. So I'm looking you eyeball to eyeball, and I'm asking you to do it, and I'm encouraging you. It will be worth it because I love you. Happy Valentine's.
That was so heartfelt. I've never got one of those box of hearts that says, finish your C2EX.
Oh, next
Maybe
year.
that's something we can do
Thank
next
you
year.
for the creative idea.
Absolutely. Speaking of great ideas and marketing genius, bring up Grace.
Hello, so I am here to talk about and promote our $1,000 giveaway. If you don't know what it is, you can sign up using this QR code. Essentially, it's $50 coming from you on your invoice, and you can promote this out. The marketing plan starts today. So if you don't sign up today, you might miss out on a couple days to market it out to your clients. There's a lot of posts and captions and texts and emails that can go out for this, and it's a $1,000 cash giveaway, and the call date is February 27th. So make sure you have your phone turned on. You just answer 5 simple questions, and then the winner is announced February 28th.
So real quick, because I know there were some questions out there from people what this is, but this is an opportunity for you to promote to your clients the opportunity to win $1,000 at the cost to you of $50. And so you promote this over the course of the next couple of weeks, that you will have a day where you will answer your phone when they call. And when they call you, your clients, on this day, you get to ask them 5 simple questions. What's your name, phone number, email, address, and something really fun, like what's your favorite TV show? What are you doing for spring break? Anything along that lines to encourage a conversation. But this is a huge way to fill in gaps in your database. Almost every single agent I've worked with, I look at their database, is missing somebody's address, somebody's email address, something else like that. But this gives your clients the incentive to call you so that you can fill in those gaps. And it's a huge way to do that, and it multiplies your efforts by giving away $1,000. That would take $1,000 of your money, but instead, by pooling our resources together, we can each contribute $50 and offer a $1,000 prize. Then on the day that they call in, you make sure you record all that information in the sheet that Grace provides to you. Then we do a drawing and see who wins that $1,000. That's been very effective in filling out people's databases in the past. Some of the other times in other places, if you've been to Bold, you may have heard of the same sort of thing as a reverse Bold. And it's essentially just the same thing. We're just making the prize a market center-wide prize. Anybody have any questions very quickly? Yes,
Are we doing this over social media as well?
you should be promoting it in every and any possible way once you sign up. She will provide you with a bunch of pre-made graphics that you can just literally throw up there. But if you want to do additional stuff on your own, absolutely.
Where will those graphics be?
She'll be giving them to you.
They'll go out in an email today, and then once you sign up, if you sign up after today, you'll get an email with the full marketing plan. You just won't be able to use everything as if the day would pass, but you also get a smart plan through command with text, email, and whatnot.
Love it. Cool, thank you.
So,
Thank you. I said, come on up, Grace, and we cheered. I didn't know Jason was coming, so Jason! He loves it. There you go. Let's bring up a couple of our ALC members, Mikey and Tricia. The Remote Engagement Committee. Now, this is something that all the guys will love, because we love remotes.
Go ahead. So Tricia and I, we're both not right here in the center of the Burnsville office. Tricia is about an hour away, and I'm 3 hours away. So we sat together and we were thinking, what can we do to combine all these satellite offices, all those single agents that can't come every day to the office? Because Keller Williams is like a big family. The Williams family, we want to be one. We want to be one big office. We want to show how big we can be. So we sat together and we thought, let's make this one unite, make this one, make it one family. Let's find a way to do that.
And we're talking a lot to a lot of you out on Zoom right now, because obviously you all here are close to this market center, to the Burnsville Market Center. But we want to connect all of our awesome agents that are in the Red Wing area, in the Marshall area, Belle Plaine, St. Peter, Mankato, Murray County, right? Way down southwest somewhere. But so our goal is to connect everybody. So part of doing that is we're going to be starting by sending a survey out to your remote agents that are out there of what things can we do to help you feel more connected to the market center here in Burnsville. Some of our ideas are, for example, remote happy hours. You know, we always have the happy hour once a month, so perhaps having one in New Ulm that would be partly in the middle of Marshall and Burnsville, or out towards the Red Wing area. So that is our goal. Go ahead.
When we send out the survey, please don't be shy.
Yeah.
Write in there what you need, what you want, what you're looking for.
And ideas. Another thought, for example, that you'll see coming is a Zoom mastermind. We have awesome masterminds here with mega agents and just with all agents. It's hard to do a mastermind when you have people in the room and people on Zoom. I've tried being on Zoom, but if we could do just a Zoom open forum for everybody that's on Zoom that is remote, a mastermind, you know, bi-monthly, that type of thing. So those are some of our thoughts and ideas, but again, our main goal is just to connect everybody, because you are all up there on Zoom, just as important as everybody in this market center right now, sitting in this room, and we understand that people can't make the commitment to travel the miles all the time, so.
And then Red Day, we would like to try to have the market center more combined Red Day of everybody. Not saying that we have to do it at one location, but let's do the marketing about Red Day, what it's really for.
And those other communities as well. Yep, which we did last year. We had one in New Prague as well as the Red Day here, but also promoting. We're gonna work more on communicating and promoting to all of you all the awesome things that are happening in our remote locations, in our remote areas, because there's some great things happening out in those locations too. And our main goal is to make KWPR the brokerage that people want to be a part of throughout Minnesota, correct?
Yes.
So that's our goal, and building our name bigger out. It's gonna help all of us in the main market center area as well. So reach out if you have any ideas on how we can connect with you out there on Zoom land and in those remote areas, or if any of you sitting in the room here too have any thoughts, let one of us
Would
know.
like to help, you can always
Yeah,
use
or
help.
like to help us too. So, all right. Thank you much.
That's so awesome. You actually rode a car, not your horses, right? You got your boots on. Yeah, Little Houses on the Prairie was their first stop. That didn't go over.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Speaking of Nellie Olson, let's bring up Toddy.
Okay, I don't know who that is, so. Hello, everybody. This is really up here today. Okay, so first we want to start off by welcoming our new Dophie, Kelly Marshall. Okay, so as she makes her way up here, we just want to point out a couple of things. One, she loves her 15-year-old cat, Bella Fiona. Do you call her that? Sometimes. Oh, just
Depends on how attitudinal she is.
yeah, okay. She's a classically trained singer, which we always need one of those, so, you know.
What about a dancer?
And she's an ordained minister. And how many years of experience do you have working in real estate?
12.
12. So she knows what she's doing. We're so excited that she's here. And we're for sure gonna miss Sherry because she's amazing. And Jason, where we are. We are so excited that you're here.
Thank you.
So
Excited to be here.
Yeah, so if you have anything that you want to share or whatever, this is her lovely self. So just so that you know who she is, she's up at the front desk. And yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here's a high-level overview of what's going on for the rest of the month. There's slides that say all this stuff. We have our ongoing boot camps, tech-savvy realtors, masterminds, connectors, career Zoom and career night, and supper clubs on the 20th. As a reminder, the last team meeting of the month will have a red carpet welcome for the new agents that have joined us within the last 2 months. We have our realtor safety course on Tuesday the 25th with Scott Labash. And then we're having a California Wildfires fundraiser, and then more to come about the family reunion watch party and a couple other slides. As a reminder, CE Blitz is happening on March 3rd and 4th. The price goes up tomorrow. So if you want to get signed up at this price, the early bird price, please sign up today. Lunch is included. It's on March 3rd and 4th, and it's most likely going to be from 9 a.m. to about 5. So it will be all day for 2 days, but you can bang out your CE and then you're done. It will be taught by Mike Brennan from Minnesota Realty School. He will be teaching on the required module and then also a couple other courses. As soon as he has decided what those are, we'll let you know what classes those will be. I think I said it, but lunch is provided, so that's always a great way to, break up the day. Yeah?
Say I only wanted to go 1 day and I'm willing to pay the $140 for 1 day, we can still get those credits for that day?
You could, however, because of the way we're doing it, we can't just do pricing for 1 day. You can come for 1 day.
I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question for a friend.
Yes, we cannot charge you for 1 day. We can charge you the $140 price, but you can come for 1 day.
Okay.
Yes, so.
I'll take your lunch from day 2.
Yeah, so it's a good way to just bang it out. I know CE is not the most fun thing in the world, but let's just do it together, okay? Moving on. Okay, so really exciting, Jamie has volunteered to do the family reunion and bring it virtually to KWPR. And that's super exciting because there's so much value in this, which is, he's our value officer, so that's great. So on Tuesday, we are going to be having breakfast and mimosas to kick off family reunion. So if you want to join us live in the training room, it will be starting at 10:45 to 1 p.m. is going to be the vision speech with Gary Keller. And top agent panels are also going to be wrapped into that. Those are a little mixed up, so we'll get that fixed. Breakout number 1 is elevate your real estate brand from ho-hum to oh wow with Rory Vaden. And then breakout 2 is critical conversations in real estate with Phil Jones. I want to point out too, these times do seem a little bit odd, but that's because of the time change, obviously. So we will be having it available until 6:30. Obviously, all of this is optional should you choose to come. However, I think it will be jam-packed with value. So if you can make it to stay till 6:30, I think it will be totally worth your time. Wednesday, the general session is 10 Bold Truths with Gary Keller. And then breakout number 3 is 20 lead gen, okay, I can't talk. Anyway, lead gen hacks to triple your business in 2025, and that one's 4:45 to 6. And then Thursday, this one is going to be a replay, I believe. The time is to be determined on KWRI website. As soon as we know what time that's happening, we'll let you know. But it's the highlights of the CEO Summit. And then Friday from 11 a.m. to 12:45 is Inspirational Morning, and that is with Mo Anderson, and that's my favorite. So definitely going to be good. Wednesday there is going to be some appetizers, and then Friday we're going to do like a little mishmash of snacks and things like that. So I think it's going to be a good time. Does anybody have any questions about the virtual family reunion experience? Yeah?
A sidebar.
Yeah.
For people who love statistics like Todd and I, the vision speech will have probably 50 different graphs and so forth, and you'll just love it. Trust me.
You will.
Lots of statistics.
Yes. Okay, so it will be a really great experience that Jamie has offered to bring into our market center, and Olivia, of course. So if you can make it, it'll be great. Okay, Melissa, I'm gonna look to you a little bit here just to make sure that we're marketing it correctly. However, we are doing an event for the California wildfires. We're doing a fundraiser. We're partnering with Fieldstone and with the Realtor Relief Foundation. So Melissa, will you give us a little bit of detail?
Sure, yeah. I think a lot of you guys know my husband Trent owns a company called Fieldstone Family Homes. The Parade of Homes starts the first weekend of March. They've allowed us to use 2 of their model homes that they have in Inver Grove Heights this Monday just before, so that we can get kind of a sneak peek of models. I know a lot of you are liking to do social media posts where you say, take a look, I'm here, this beautiful model. We're working in collaboration also with Mike Hunstead, who's with Counselor Realty, and he manages the Realtors Relief Foundation, which is here in Minnesota. So between the 3 of us, I think it will be a really well-attended event, which will make it vibrant and fun and exciting for you guys to go to. It's the perfect event, in my opinion, for you guys to say, hey, I'm gonna pay $100, I'm gonna get 2 tickets to this, and I'm gonna bring that agent that I've been wanting to expose to Keller Williams, who doesn't want to come into the training room or, isn't ready yet to come to the office. So make it kind of a luxury meet and greet, wine and dine. So that's just kind of the logistical background, but the primary reason we're doing it, the reason it's really important, is one whole Keller Williams Market Center has been destroyed by the wildfires. And Olivia, help me with how many agents have been impacted.
2 market centers burned to the ground completely, and over 30 agents have lost their homes. KW Cares semi-trucks got there before FEMA, just like in Asheville, North Carolina. So I know that we don't experience, hurricanes and fires and all that kind of stuff here. But when KW Cares shows up in those disaster situations prior to FEMA, I think it's a really big deal. So the goal is to basically send several $1,000 maybe by grant, I think is kind of what I was thinking, out to them directly from our market center.
Exactly. So if you've been looking for a way to contribute to, the sadness and the sorrow out there, this is a great way to do it. When you come then, there will be silent auction items. We're even going to be auctioning off some training sessions. For example, the attorney at the Minnesota Association of Realtors is auctioning off a 1-hour session where you guys can hear from him directly if you had questions or you wanted to present it for your team, if you're, a rainmaker in here. So there'll be, a $50 investment, ways for you to make other donations, tax deductible, while also having kind of a luxe, fun, special, unique event. I hope you can make it.
And last but not least on that, in the Friday email this week, there's going to be a shareable that you can download and email or text out to any people that you're hoping to invite outside of our brokerage or whatever. So look for that in the Friday email. It will look like that. Just download it, screenshot it, whatever, and then feel free to send it that way. We're not asking for RSVPs, so please just show up if you want to come. We are doing a realtor safety class, like I mentioned, on February 25th at 1 p.m. in the training room. That will be really good. And then to celebrate Valentine's Day, we're doing some Valentines with flowers. You can get one at the front, sign it to whoever your coworker or your agent friends are in the office, and you could give them a little Valentine. So we hope that everybody has a happy Valentine's Day.
Nice, thank you so much.
Committee, so thank you.
Oh,
Yes, and when filling those out, my name, it's Jami. Just a fast reminder of what's coming up. This is, I don't know if you noticed, but we got an amazing person at the helm of our region. And career visioning coming up with Patrick Woods, Phil Jones, my favorite author, Quantum Leap, my second favorite author. This is amazing, be ready for it. And there's one thing I have a little beef with about family reunion that I didn't know until yesterday, until I saw it on a billboard. But Olivia and Jason are going to be on panels at family reunion. Oh, they said this Jason.
No.
Oh, well, thanks.
Things that would have been nice to know yesterday.
Well, this is him.
Yeah.
So, that's her camp. All right. right, well, maybe it will be.
Go for it.
We'll get another slide for that. Let's welcome up Jessica. Come on up, Jessica.
Can you just be responsible for that?
Well, we got a remote committee.
They're like, this is too slide.
I think so.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Gillen with Goosehead Insurance. And so I just wanted to answer any questions or give you a little insight as to what's going on in the insurance industry right now. As you've probably heard, premiums or experienced, premiums are on the rise. And so since 2017, here is the average homeowners insurance premiums that have increased. As you can see, Minnesota right here, we are definitely have increased throughout the years up to almost 40% in premiums, just with a lot of the wind and hail claims. If you go to the next screen, this is where it's showing the losses from insurance for the different states, and here's Minnesota again. So since 2017, they have continually seen a loss year over year. This, insurance is obviously a business, and so how each carrier works, if they are at a loss for the year, they have to do something about that, increasing premiums or closing to new business. And so right now, a lot of carriers, it's really important to work, I believe it's really important to work with a broker. So at Goosehead, we have 46 different carriers that we work with. So a lot of times I'm reshopping premiums for clients, checking out what coverage is, because all the different carriers want to either gain market share or they're closing to new business because they can't sustain the current rates that they have. That's why the premiums have to go up. So if they can't cover their book of business, they have to increase their premiums or they shut down to new business based off of low rates. So a lot of times it's helpful to have multiple options for your clients, right? And so say, for example, State Farm, if they want to gain new market share, they go in very aggressive with their rates. And then once they're at max capacity payouts, then they either increase their premiums or they close the business. So constantly figuring out who in the market share is getting aggressive and who is raising their rates. We have a new carrier that I just received. It was the most requested carrier with Goosehead for the franchise, and that carrier is new to Minnesota. Their name is Grange, and so I've been quoting them with new clients that have been coming in, and they've been getting really aggressive with their rates. So that's something that's interesting. Another thing is to always, like with lenders, a lot of my lenders, I've been educating them at new kind of expectations for where they should be quoting people for premiums coming in. I've had several people come in and say, hey, I'm buying this house, I quote their insurance, I go back to the lender and the lender's like, they can't close, they do not meet their criteria. So then there's ways that we can get creative and then we can adjust deductibles, which is another topic I'll talk about, and kind of adjust how we get your coverage for getting you through closing. And then we can reshop after closing. So that's a good way to help them continue to be able to get through their closing. I mean, I've had lenders and clients call me days before. Jess, I can't get, our closing's not gonna happen, what can we do? And I'm able to find a carrier and bind their business within hours to get them still through the closing of their new home purchase. Deductibles. This is also another thing that carriers are doing. They're increasing their deductibles. So a lot of times wind, hail deductibles, everyone likes a low deductible, $500, $1,000. You feel like that's good coverage. The only thing with that now is deductibles are raising. So a minimum deductible for all perils is $5,000, wind, hail is $5,000. The reason why it's good to educate your clients or to look at it differently is you don't want to be making claims just on minimal expenses. So if there's a minor claim that you're making and it's a $2,000 for full repair, and you're like, oh, well, my deductible's only $500. I might as well make the claim, have the work done, I only pay $500. The problem is that's gonna affect your insurance score, which is a lot like your credit score. So insurance score is affected by how many claims you make. If you have any lapse in coverage, that's a big red flag. And then your claims are all rated differently. One of the highest dings for claims is a water claim. For some reason, that is a big no-no. So you wanna make sure that you are not just making claims frivolously, or also another problem is if you make a claim and you collect the money and then you don't fix the damage. That's also a thing against you. So higher deductibles is not necessarily, I don't look at it as a bad thing, because you really don't want to be making a claim for something that you could maybe pay out of pocket yourself. Another thing is I'm sure, well, townhome associations, insurance policies. This has gotten very tricky, as I know some of you have experienced. This fall, I think I had 5 different agents reach out to me because their buyers had to back out of townhome purchases because there's a new state statute. And that is that when you're purchasing a townhouse, if there has been a claim that has not been repaired or paid out, and it's still pending, when you go to buy that home, if that's still open, the buyer will become responsible for that claim. They will assume that claim. And so then when they try to get insurance and the claim is open and pending, the insurance will deny them basically a policy, because they don't want to take on that claim that you didn't even own the property when it happened, the damage happened. So that is the new state statute. I don't know if anyone can see a problem with that, but it has been causing a lot of issues because it kind of feels like it should have been reversed, where it should have just stayed with the previous owner until it was paid out. But it's now being rolled over to the new buyer, and it's getting tricky to get insurance for them. So, does anyone have any insurance questions for me?
I have an even better idea.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be around after?
I sure am. And there will be lunch from Fat Lorenzo's in the cafeteria. So.
Yes. Lunch is an insurance score. All right, well, this is what we've all been waiting for. Now, this takes on a life of its own. We've got him started a little bit late here, so just be aware if you have a noon appointment, feel free, no one's gonna boo you if you need to leave, as far as you know. And, but we may go over it. So, that being said, let's bring up the man who puts so much into this market center that no one has to see. Colin Manson.
So I see a trend every time I come up to talk, I get less and less and less and less and less time.
Comes from the head down.
All right. Many of you have been through this presentation before, right? Show of hands, who's been through it? Okay. I will not fault you if you want to get up, walk out the door. You can do that. No takers? You guys are really nice to me. To my face, anyway. All right, what are we going to do today? We are going to talk at a very high level and generally about, well, that's the wrong thing, don't use that. I think I'd know that by now. We're going to talk at a very high level about generally how our monetary system works, some ties between our monetary system, indicators that we can look at in the marketplace and how that ties to real estate. And just going to talk a little bit about what's gone on in the last handful of years and where we think maybe things could go in the future. I'm guessing your crystal balls have about the same amount of clarity as mine, which is not very much right now. But let's take a look at this and see what we can figure out. Okay, so I want to touch briefly on the Federal Reserve. Let's talk about what inflation is, why inflation over the long term is a given, essentially a guarantee, and then again, those hacks and correlations between all of this and what we do on a daily basis. All right, we good?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I don't know why I left this up here. So our money, a bill, where's the bill come from? Well, we make it, right? So 25% linen, 75% cotton, red and blue synthetic fibers throughout, okay? Takes 4,000 double folds to tear a banknote. That's a pretty worn out note if you get it. The reason I'm wondering why I still have this up here is because I think the last time I did this, I had a really good joke associated with this, and I don't remember what the hell it was. So we're gonna move on. Okay, in the interest of time, we've used this little video in the past, but I think in the interest of time, we're gonna skip this, and I'm gonna try to do this. Oh, can you skip that, Jason? Okay, I'm gonna try to do this by hand over here. And we'll just make it go faster. We okay for everybody to see that relatively well? Okay, who can tell me where our money comes from?
The Federal Reserve.
Okay? Where else does our money come from?
China.
Like it.
Coffee can.
All right, somebody else said, I didn't hear what somebody else said.
I just said the coffee can.
Yeah. All right. So this is the most important, and I'm repeating a lot of what I said before, but this is the most important concept for us to get our heads wrapped around in order to understand what is going to happen with inflationary pressure moving forward. So, Fed Reserve. Let's talk about the Fed really, really quickly. Federal Reserve, government entity, right?
No.
No. Has nothing to do with the government. Private. We don't even know what actually makes up the Federal Reserve or who makes up the Federal Reserve. We don't know. Don't know. So we get money from the Federal Reserve. Well, where do they get money from?
The printer. Treasurer printer, where they go print the mints.
All right, so when you really start to think about this, where does the money come from? Well, the way our system is set up, right now, what does the US government, pretty much every government in the world, how does their budget work? Does the US government have a balanced budget?
No.
Huge deficits, right? We run huge deficits. Well, how? How do we do that? How's that even possible? Because I know if I run a huge deficit year after year after year with my personal finances, what happens to me? Yeah, you get cut off, exactly, you go bankrupt. Yet the government somehow has figured out this trick where we can just keep spending money, apparently with no repercussions, somehow, right? Well, there is a repercussion, so let's talk about it. Let's say we need to start with $100 to run the country, $100, all right? That'd be awesome. Where's the $100 going to come from? It'll come from the Fed. Where's the Fed going to get it? Well, they print it.
US Treasury and
They-
the US Mint.
Right, they, technically, yes, but they literally make it out of thin air, okay? And now it's zeros and ones, right? It's just digits. Yeah, we've got dollar bills in our pocket, but the world runs on digital money, right? So the US government gets $100 from the Fed, and what does the Fed want in return?
Promissory note.
Right, they want some interest on their money, right? I'm gonna give you money, you're gonna give me a little extra back. right? That's
It's
the one
only
thing.
fair.
It's only fair. For you, it'll be a little bit more.
Yeah, of course.
So whatever, it doesn't matter what the number is, let's just say it's 2%. We're gonna lend you $100, 2%. This is where the problem comes in. Because if we have $100, but we owe 102 back, where do we get the extra $2 to pay them back?
Borrow it.
Oh. Okay, so now, we need another $100. But guess what? So we've got $200, but now we owe 4 on top of that. Well, where are we gonna get it? We see the problem? So the only way we can pay our debt is to keep adding debt to our past debt. Okay? This is the hardest thing for everybody to get their head wrapped around because we can't operate this way. Doesn't work. They cut us off. So what's happening when we do this? We're adding money to the system, right? We're adding money to the system all the time. So if we have $100 and we have, I don't know, 4 cell phones, how much could those cell phones sell for? $25. There's only $100 available. But if we have $200 available, what can those cell phones sell for? So as our monetary supply grows, so does the cost of everything, right? That's why your grocery bill is higher tomorrow than it was yesterday, because we keep adding more and more and more money to the system. Let me ask you this. A house that's built in, pick your year, 1990, is it worth more in 1990 or in 2025, assuming no upgrades are made to it? When do you think that house is actually worth more money? 1990 or 2025? 90? I would argue that's right. It's brand new. It's got a whole lifespan to it. But why does it cost more in 2025? Right here. It costs more dollars because there's more dollars in the system. So when we have clients that are talking to us, oh, well, waiting for the market to crash or whatever the case is, maybe, this is a graph that I saw down when we were in Austin in December, and it was actually really cool. Very simple. Here's our trend line, 4% trend line for real estate appreciation, so to speak. Inflation is what it is, but we'll call it appreciation over time. And this is what the market does, generally follows that. And the interesting statement about this is you're never buying at the top of the market. You might be buying at the top of the moment, but you're not buying at the top of the market, right? The old saying, time heals all wounds in real estate, totally true, totally true. And if it doesn't, we've got bigger problems on our hands, right? Because then our monetary system, the way it's set up, is no longer working, and I don't know, we might be paying each other's bills with rocks or something, I have no idea. Okay? Who knows? Whatever. I don't know where it'll be. Are we okay with that? Generally speaking, are we okay with that?
No.
Yeah. Makes sense?
Like, do we understand it? Now, okay.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Thanks for the translation, Olivia. She knows Canadian.
Okay, what do we hear? What have we been hearing regularly? Inflation, inflation, inflation. What are they actually referencing? Price inflation, right? Coffee costs more, eggs cost more, whatever the case is. It's always coming down to price inflation because that's what we see. The true definition of inflation is monetary inflation, adding money to the system. And as a result of doing that, we see price inflation, okay? All right, so how do we measure? We've heard CPI, Consumer Price Index. Can you click on that for me, please, Jason? All right, so this is CPI. This is one of the measures that the government uses to track inflation. Okay, believe it or not, whatever. I don't know how accurate it actually is. I'm sure there's fingers in the pie messing with numbers a little bit. But hopefully at least it's a consistent measurement over time, and it's what we have, all right? So what we know, all items, end of, or beginning of 24 to beginning of 25, we're looking at about 3% inflation is what they're telling us, okay? Again, believe it or not, everything I say up here, no political statements made, it's just we're dealing with the facts that we have. Talks about all the different means that we use to get to that top number. Okay, so it goes pretty granular. All right, let's bump out of that if we can, please, Jason. Oops, we double clicked. All right, I'm not gonna jump into this one. This is just another one that you're gonna hear about. PCE, personal consumption expenditures. The difference between this and the previous one is this one takes into account consumer behavior. So if steaks get really expensive, you might buy chicken instead. Okay, so it kind of adapts for what people are doing with their money as they're expending it on whatever items they're buying. Okay, this is another interesting one, producer price index. This is really the first sale of a good or product. Okay, so for instance, you've got a lumber mill, it would be the cost of lumber going to Menards or whatever the case is, all right? It's not the cost of the 2x4 by the time it gets to the house to build the house, it's that first transaction. Could you jump into that one really quickly, Jason? Now, trust me, I do not look at this stuff on a regular basis. It's actually really interesting how much they track. So here's our change over the last year, December to December. You landed on, what is that?
Eggs.
Eggs.
Where do you get this?
This is, I believe this is BLS.gov. The last one was too. Eggs up 128%. Those are good eggs. What else do we have? Coffee's up. What's down? Scroll, let's see what's down. Okay. Yeah, keep going down. What else do we have? Oh, what's this one? Who is this? Steady.
Iron and steel is down 50%.
Yeah. What else? There was one I saw. Cigarettes are up. So one of the vices is steady, one is up. You gotta be careful there. Choose wisely. Yeah, Jess talked about insurance. I saw auto insurance in here at some point. It was up significantly. So anyways, they use all this to track what's going on. All right, so let's jump out of that one. Okay, recession. I think the last time, aside from COVID, the last time we had a recorded recession was 2009, 2010. We operate on a 7-year business cycle. Do the math. Something doesn't add up. So, how do we measure how do we measure recession? What's the technical definition of a recession? I heard somebody say something about GDP but I couldn't hear it.
2 consecutive negative GDP quarters.
Yep, 2 quarters of negative GDP, so shrinking of our economy. All right, what is GDP? It's essentially an indicator of all the goods and services produced in a country. Okay, so when we get to a point of 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth or shrinking, that is the indicator that we're in recession. Usually by the time that is announced, we're already most of the way through it. Okay, what's another good indicator of recession on the horizon? It's an inversion of the yield curve. Okay, so if I loan Steve money for 3 months versus 10 years, which of those 2 scenarios would we expect that I get a higher return on that loan? You want higher return on 3 months versus longer?
Your return.
My return.
You get more for the longer each.
What are you talking about, percentage?
Yep, percentage return.
Longer.
The longer I'm gonna lend the money, the more chance that something's going to go south with Steve. So for 3 months, yeah, I'll give you a lower rate, but if I'm going long-term, I want more money, right? That's normal, that's normal. Can you click on that, please, Jason, I think? Okay, this is Bloomberg. This is a really good one to watch for a couple of reasons, but we can see here the different treasury bond terms, 3-month all the way up to 30 years, and what the yield is. Not long ago, the short end of the curve, which is like the 3, 6, 12, 2-year, was higher than the long end of the curve, which is 5, 10, 30. Okay, that means yields are inverted. It's the opposite of what, logically speaking, it should be. When that happens, and then it flips back, when it flips back, that generally is the trigger that we're probably in recession, even though it hasn't been reported yet. Look where we're at. Things are starting to get somewhat back into order. So that tells me if we're going to see recession, it's probably coming here shortly. Okay? Not good, not bad, it just is what it is. All right? Okay. The other thing that usually goes along with recession is employment numbers, right? Usually when we're seeing some contraction, what do businesses do? They shed people, right? That's a mechanism to keep your business alive. So right now we have, let's call it 800,000 person shortage of workers in the US. So there's more jobs than there are workers. 2 years ago, that number was about 4 million. Now, grain of salt with that, COVID has totally screwed it. That, like, there was so many imbalances and goofy things going on that I think we've got to be a little bit careful about any numbers from 2020, probably through, frankly, right now, because we're still dealing with the repercussions. But that's really interesting. We have been in a shortage since 2014. Can anybody tell me what kind of correlation we can make to demographics with that statement? Boomers. Yep, boomers. So what's the baby boom generations? 46 to 64. Do the math. Add 65, you know, take those people out to 65, 70 years old, and they're all starting to retire. And boom, gets us right in the ballpark, all right? Right now, 1.1 job openings for each person looking for a job, which makes sense, right? We've got a shortage. Where's employment headed? I don't know. Why don't we click on that one, Jason? Right now, we're at about 4% unemployment. So, again, there's a light on this, Jason?
Yes, at the top.
Is it this one? Should be that one. Oh, there we go. So, COVID, right? Yeah, here's the recession I was talking about, 2008, 2009, 2010. COVID obviously messed everything up, but if you look, we've been pretty steady around here. I don't know, we've got about 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. So I just don't, I don't, can this fluctuate? Sure, I just don't know how it goes up significantly. The math doesn't make sense to me, just because we have so many people leaving the workforce. All right, let's jump out of that one. Okay, let's click on this one if you would, Jason. Okay, so this is a little bit hard to read. Can you hover over one of those lines just so I can make sure I'm... Okay, so that's total job openings, and the one below it is hires. So that's reflecting what we just saw. And look where that line crosses. It's right around here, 2014, and that gap just keeps getting wider and wider. So I've said this before, I think you can put a cardboard cutout in the Oval Office, and I think this isn't going to change for this foreseeable future just because of demographics. I don't think employment is going to get crazy high about this. Just my guess. Okay, let's jump out of that one. How are we doing? Questions so far? We're going to get to some correlations here really quickly. Okay, what happened during COVID? Everyone panicked and governments around the world just tossed money into the system, right? They juiced the system, that's all there is to it. How many people have heard clients say, I'm waiting for interest rates to drop? Yeah, I'm waiting. Why? Well, because my friend got a 2% interest rate. Well, your friend hit like all-time lows. It's like 5,000-year lows, pretty much, interest rates. So I wait around for the next one, I guess, I don't know. We are not likely to see this again because of the overwhelming actions that governments and central banks around the world took. So not only did they dump money into the system, but they were buying mortgage-backed securities and long-term securities to drive interest rates down to keep the economy spinning at a pace that I don't know this factually, but I'm guessing we've never seen that pace before. Right? We shut the world off and had to figure out how do we make sure the economy keeps going. Doesn't really add up, right? So this, if we see this again, something's gone really, really, really wrong. We agree on that? Okay. Then what do? Uh-oh, we threw way too much coal on the fire. Now we've got to find the biggest fire hose we can get, and what do? We increased the short-term rates, right? The Fed jacked up rates, and what did we see with mortgage rates? End of 21 into 22, up, and what have they done ever since? They've gone up and they've stayed there. Well, why? They went to quantitative tightening instead of easing. So instead of buying those bonds and the mortgage-backed securities, they started selling them. All right, that forced rates back up. So this is really cool. This, you can just Google Fred 30-year rates. This is like, I think this is the St. Louis office of the Fed. So this goes back to early 70s, and it's got 30-year interest rates, 30-year mortgage interest rates. So what's really interesting when you look at this, everybody right now that didn't buy or refinance here, this is what they want. Look at the flaw in that thing. Right?
History.
What's the history? I mean, perspective, right? Holy crap, this is a blip in time. This is gone. I'm sorry, but that's gone. And look how quickly they jumped up. And that was, again, the Fed getting super aggressive, jacking up rates, and then pulling money out of the system because they realized, like they always do, they waited too long to dump it in, and then they took too long to take their foot off the gas. Right? It's that annoying person driving down the freeway, one foot on the gas, one on the brake, and they don't know which one they want to use. Well, that's, in my opinion, the Fed. I hope we're not being listened to. My brake lines will probably fail on the way home. Okay, here's another indicator that we can use. And all I'm trying to do is give you guys high-level indicators that we can use when we're talking to our clients. If you get that analytical client, if you've got this, you're probably ahead of 98% of the people that you're sitting down with at the kitchen table. All right? Can you click on that one, please, Jason? Okay. I'm trying to go fast, guys. Jessica talked too long. Can you click that, please? Nope, wrong one. Yeah, click that and click the 3-month and the 10-year, please. Okay, so what is this telling us? This is nothing more than an indicator. The Fed fund rate, which is that short-term rate that the Fed raises, lowers, holds steady, whatever the case is, it basically travels lockstep with the 2-year Treasury yield. Okay, so wherever one is, that's probably where the other one is going to. About 6 months ago, the Fed fund rate was half a point higher than the 2-year Treasury yield. What did the Fed do? They lowered rates. So they're always going to get back into alignment with the 2-year Treasury yield. It just, that's going to happen. That's what they're going to do. So let's jump out of that one, Jason. Oops. Okay. Should be an obvious answer given what's on the screen. 30-year interest rates, mortgage rates, what do they generally follow?
10-year treasury.
10-year treasury, okay? So if we're looking to see where rates are headed, go to that Bloomberg screen that we had up before and look at where the 10-year treasury is. 10-year treasury yesterday was about 4.54, today is 4.65 right now. Why? What happened yesterday that caused that 10-year treasury to jump overnight? Who's familiar with the name Jerome Powell? Head of the Fed. What did he say yesterday? Inflation seems sticky. We're going to hold firm on rates. That news drove the 10-year up, which also means all of our clients are probably paying 7.1 to 7.25% on the 30-year fixed mortgage rate today. Okay, so if we know the 30-year interest rates track with the 10-year treasury, right, generally speaking, you saw the graph. Is there a correlation between where the 10-year is and where mortgage interest rates should be? 30-year rates. There's a gap there. There's an average premium that we normally see above the 10-year treasury that tells us where 30-year rates should be today. So this is that graph. This is the premium that we've seen over time. Where are we at? This is a little bit dated. I couldn't find an updated version of this. So we reached almost as high as 3% premium. So whatever the 10-year is, add 3% on, that was where the rates were at, 30-year interest rates. If we look at this, on average, we should probably be 1.75% premium on the 10-year treasury, and that would equate to what today's 30-year interest rate should be for a good borrow, right? So easy math for this simple mind, 4.5% 10-year treasury yesterday. 1.75% is the average premium. What does that put us to?
6.25.
6.25. Where are we at? Not 6.25. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me somebody's making a ton of money in the market, right? Big money, not us. Big money is making a ton of money. And it tells me that eventually that premium, that gap is going to come back to the mean. It's going to come back. So if it were to come back today, we'd probably be somewhere around 6.25, 6.5, just by getting rid of that premium, that additional premium that's built in. Does that make sense? Is that helpful when talking to clients, understanding this? I think this is really big for all of us. Guys, right now, it's inflated, and it should come back. I don't know when, but it should. I think there's a lot of crap to get worked out of the system yet. Okay, who has felt that we have been maybe in a housing recession since, I don't know, call it June of 2022? Yeah. Unit count is down significantly, right? Everybody's, I see Lance shaking his head. So, the last couple of years, we've sold right around 4 million units nationwide. Okay, 4 million units. That's right here. Look back. This goes back to 1997. We're selling fewer homes today than we did in 1997. This crosses at about 1993. This is not adjusted for population. This is straight up unit count. The last time we sold this few houses nationally, 1993. Let that one sink in for a little bit. Lance.
I'd like to know what agent count was in 1993.
I don't know the agent count, but I do know what the population count is. Somewhere in here I wrote it down.
That was my first year, full year of real.
That's why I'm looking at you.
There's a lot of us.
Okay, what's a guess? What's a guess for the population of the US in 1993? 280? 250?
305.
270, 305? Okay, according to my Google machine, it said 260. What's our population right now?
Real?
340-ish, probably 340, 345, depending on your source. Think about that for a second. Let's use 340 and 260. So that's 80 million more people. My math is right on that, right?
Yes.
80 million more people, and we're selling the same number of houses.
How many more apartment buildings have they built though?
It doesn't matter. This piece is still so low. I agree with you, but this is still so low. So at some point, this, I think, has to come back up. If it doesn't,
I'd be curious to know what the average age of the first-time home buyer was in 1993
It's a good
versus what
question.
it is
Oh, I don't know.
Because with it being in the mid-30s right now, as the average first-time home buyer, I have to assume it was much less in
I would assume you're right.
1993.
Yep, I would assume you're right. But isn't this interesting?
That's what we call pent-up demand.
I would say you're right, because here's the trend line right here, about 5.4, give or take, and we're at 4. To get to 5, that's a 25% increase. Kelly.
The Google says that 32 was the average age in 1993.
Really? No kidding, huh? Interesting.
But they saved money for down payment.
I was gonna say, the difference is the money came out of their pocket
Even in the,
versus-
even in the eighties, when it was 18.5% interest rate, people had money for down payment, they
Yep.
saved.
Now we're borrowing.
They didn't
on
have
our
zero,
down payments.
down, other than VAT.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. And remember what we talked about? It's the same thing, right? Because the one thing we didn't talk about over here, am I okay to go another couple of minutes?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Zach?
I Googled what it is for 2024 and it says 56,
Is the average?
average age.
That's
That's
that's because the only people buying are seniors or retirees.
It said average age for 2024, which I got the same for whoever looked it up for 1993.
Do 2022. What I'm looking at is, it says 38 years
2022.
old in 2024. This is just the,
Yeah,
like the.
that I'd probably buy
AI.
a little bit more.
And it shows, you know, a whole bunch of different years here, so.
Sure. Okay, 10-to-1 ratio. We're getting back to where money comes from. 10-to-1 ratio. Anybody have any idea what I'm talking about when I put that up there, other than 10-to-1 ratio? I'm sorry, somebody. 10%? Okay, yeah, I mean, yes, yep. It's a little bit more global than that. I'm not giving you much to work with, so I don't blame you. 10-to-1. So if I deposit $1 into a bank, that bank has the ability to lend out $10. Stop and think about that. I deposit $1, they can lend 10. Can we see how that absolutely mushroom clouds the money supply? It's unbelievable when you stop and think about it. And even if we look at what we do every day, right? We sell houses, what people do, they go and get a mortgage. Let's say they're putting 10% down, just for argument's sake. They're buying a $500,000 house, they're putting 50 into the deal, and the bank is going, poof, here's the other 450. So between, the Fed obviously is feeding money to the banks, but 10-to-1, just think about that. So the next time you make a deposit in your bank and it's pretty significant, you might want to talk to your banker and say, I don't like the interest rate you're paying me.
I don't.
I think you have to scrub a bank really bad to go broke. Like, come on. That's unbelievable. So, back to this. I think this is really interesting information, number one, for us to keep in mind in terms of our sales business. Because if you're still here and you're still trooping along, I think you've done a hell of a good job. Look at what we're dealing with. And this isn't good or bad, it's just facts. So if we're bouncing along at the bottom, logic says sooner or later, we're gonna start going up. And when unit count starts going up, it's gonna make all of our lives a lot easier. Okay, so just a couple more misnomers that are out there. I haven't checked on my buddy Barry here in a while. So Barry apparently has cancer. So he has not been, doing a lot of videos or anything lately. So I don't know how he's doing personally, but this guy is super smart. When he gets something wrong, the cool part about him is he'll go back and figure out, what did I get wrong and why? Like, he thought rates were gonna drop through the floor in 2024, I think, or 2023, and they didn't. And he came back and said, I figured out what I missed. He said there was so much residual money in the economy that the government had dumped in via different means, whether it's stimulus checks or whatever the case is. He said, I totally miscalculated how long it would take for that to work its way through the system. So he's super cool. I really hope he does okay and he comes back, because he's just, his perspective is really good. But he's always looking at compared to what, right? Like, we've got all these stats and that's great. We can puke them all over people, but if we don't understand and compare it to something, what does it really do for us, right? So, a couple of things that Barry had talked about in the past that I think is really important right now because we hear it all the time in the media. So, in 2024, I don't have updated numbers, but the media claimed that the median household income needed to be $115,000 in order for a person to afford a $420,000 home based on a 30-year fixed rate of 7.5%. Okay, so that's pretty close to where we're at today, right? I think that's still applicable information. Everybody says, oh my God, that's impossible. People can't buy houses. 115,000 median income, household. The median household income in the US at the time of this was $75,000. Right? The math doesn't work. The median person cannot buy a house. Doesn't work. What are we gonna do? Everything's gonna go to hell in a handbasket. It's all gonna come apart at the seams. Until we actually start looking at the numbers and digging in. So, if we remove those households that are earning under $20,000 from the equation, the median now becomes $100,000. Let me ask you, how many households earning $20,000 a year are in the market to buy a house? Zero. Absolutely zero. We take it a step further and we remove those households that are earning under $40,000. I would argue the same thing holds true. 40 grand is not buying, at least not in this part of the world, it's not buying you a house. The median income is now $120,000. So when we look at these stats at face value, everybody panics and makes something of it. Oh my gosh. But when we really break it down, it's a totally different story. So I just find that super interesting. I think that's another good one to have in our hip pockets when we're dealing with clients. Because those misnomers are out there, right? The media is really good at pushing whatever they want to push. It's clickbait, it's eyeballs and ears for advertising, right? That's all it is. That's all it is. I think that might be it. Yeah. All right, questions, thoughts? I went through fast this time. Yeah.
I was kind of wondering, do you know if they have any data that's going to be out about the quantitative tightening, like when the Fed's going to be done selling out those MBSs?
I don't believe they will tip their hand to that until they want to move the market. Because if they tip their hand to that, if they say we're gonna start buying mortgage-backed securities, what's gonna happen to interest rates?
Go down.
Right.
Yep.
So they talk their book, is what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. They talk their book. Yeah, they're not gonna foreshadow what they're going to do unless they want to, for whatever reason it happens to be. Why did Powell come out yesterday and say, yeah, we think we're gonna hold steady? You wanted to influence the market for whatever reason. I don't know why. Right? I don't claim to know that.
Quick question, going back to basically the unemployment piece. Do you have any insight, because wasn't their goal like 2% unemployment or something like that?
2% inflation.
Inflation, right, but wasn't there the unemployment aspect to that as well, where they're like, we're trying to hit this number of unemployment in order to bring rates down?
Yeah, I think anything around 4.5 is considered full employment. Somebody can double check me on that. Because there's always going to be a segment of the population that is unemployable.
Right.
Right?
And the other piece of that is wasn't like within the top 5, these government employers, has there been any insight as to like what it's going to look like with all these shifts and changes?
I don't know, but I believe the economy takes care of itself. It'll expand, it'll contract, it'll shift. we've seen changes, for instance, when the production line came out, we needed fewer workers, right? Well, you needed fewer workers for that particular line of work. But now we had all these machines that were putting vehicles together, for instance. Well, somebody had to make the machines and design the machines. And so it ebbs and flows, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but looking back, it always figures out how to balance.
Colin, where does the new construction fit into this? When, you know, cost of labor, cost of materials, that was holding back a lot of inventory. How does that part of the housing market fit in with, you know, where we're at pricing wise? Are we catching up with that at all, or?
I think it all ties together, and the reason I think it ties together is because if a new house, pick your size of house, if it costs you $500,000 to build and have some profit in it, well, that is what it is. So what is the market going to assign to the value of a similar house that is 10 years old? Right? If I'm buying something that's 10 years old, it's going to be a little bit more worn out. What's the value I place on that? So I almost look at the new construction as, it almost sets the bar for us. Like if you look at, what's a good analogy? Used car market. New car prices have just Kelly and I were talking about this yesterday. New car prices have absolutely soared, right? They're out of control. Well, that's given used car prices the opportunity to rise as well, right? There's still a gap in there, but they've risen as well. So I see it the same way. New construction costs are way higher. Well, there's always going to be a gap between a brand new house and a resale house. The higher that new construction is, right, on average, we're not talking one-offs, it's gonna give the opportunity for the resale stuff to come up as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer what you're asking?
Yes, kind of. I was kind of more wondering too, is there a way that we can, or is that factored in anywhere? Again, kind of more of just like materials and, you know, can we look and try to predict, oh, we're gonna start getting more new houses soon? And then kind of play that off on.
I would.
Right.
But doesn't income have to go up to do that?
Well, it does, sure, it does. I think the builders are going to build what they believe is a comfortable number of homes to build without them getting upside down, right?
Yeah.
So again, if the market figures out a way to control itself. So if there's enough demand, they're gonna build enough to meet the demand.
Yeah.
You had said that the comfortable average gap between the 10-year treasury and the 30-year fixed is 1.75.
Average, yep.
Yep. What is it today, or what do you figure it is right now?
Well, we're at about, let's go round numbers. We're about 7.25, 7.1 maybe today, give or take. And the 10-year treasury is currently at 4.65. So I don't know, do the math.
2.5.
2.5? Yeah, so there should be 0.5 to 3/4 of a point baked in that could come out right now, Brian, in my opinion, based on historic trends. Good question. I can be around. Yeah, I know I've gone long. I appreciate the questions. Yeah, I know you did. Wasn't gonna say anything, but seeing you brought her up. I'm very.
Let's give it a huge. Couple things. First of all, please draw a number. 4, a book that we talked about last week, Let Them.
Number 1.
1 through 43.
Number 1.
Number 1 is Paris Amor.
Oh, she just stepped out, but Paris, we'll let her and we'll give this to her. So thank you, and just real quick, just like, Barry Habib, if we make a mistake, we'd like to fix it. Oh, it didn't show. Is this it? All right, I'll show you all later. Okay, so those of you going to family reunion, you're gonna meet back in here, so please grab a lunch and then come on back. And thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Yeah.